Welcome to Savor the Story podcast, where books and snacks are life. I'm Nicole. This is Vanessa.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Okay, so
what's
I have
the
to
matter?
tell you, I was writing down notes today
Okay,
about
great.
what I did last week,
Uh-huh.
and it's like I forgot a week of my life.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. It's okay though. I did not forget my week because I was sick all week.
Yeah, there's no way.
That was literally my life all week. Sitting on the couch, napping as much as possible, and watching reality TV. I did read some because I had to read, but it's it's very hard to read when your brain is like super foggy and like all you can think about is closing your eyes.
That is true.
Yeah, so I did make it through a book, but it was not easy. Unfortunately.
But you're feeling better now, right?
Feeling so much better. I feel like I don't feel like I'm about to fall over and like nap immediately. So that's good. Yeah.
So next week, what you're telling me is you will have many books to talk about.
Do you want to know how many I have in the reserve right now?
Sure, tell me.
Okay, well, I am going to talk about two today, which leaves me with two other ones that I've finished, and I will for sure finish 2 tomorrow. Maybe today. We'll see. But 2 tomorrow. So next week I will have 4, but I will not be talking about 4.
So out of the 2 that you talk about today, is one of them Rebel Witch?
Yes!
Yay! All right. I was just trying to plan how many books I needed to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Because I also have 2 books in the spare
Okay.
tank.
I love that for you.
Well, and the only reason this happened is because 2 weeks ago when Mike was at the cabin, I had that 5-book week.
Yes.
And we made the executive decision not to talk about
6 books or whatever.
6 books in one episode. Or just have the whole episode be me talking about 5 books and you just sitting there like, okay, cool. Whatever, Nicole. Sure. Yes. Your podcast. I'm just here.
That's right.
So yes, I mean, also now have
we
2 in
could
the spare.
do that. Yes, if you wanted to, one day when I have no books.
No, we will never do that.
Okay, great.
The plan is in my brain, Nicole's brain is at some point we'll just have a whole episode's worth of extra books where we'll just do a bonus episode one day.
It's like 3 hours of all of our extra books.
Right. It'll be like, welcome to episode 57.5.
There you go. All right. When we have so many that we can't manage it anymore, like we forget what we're talking about at any given time. It's like, okay, we have to get these off of our plate.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
So like you've said before, having an extra book in case like you have a week where you're sick or you have a week where it's good to have something to talk about. But I have a feeling that if I have another 4 or 5 book week, which is not this week,
okay,
or next week,
okay,
surprise, spoiler, guys. But I feel like it's gonna happen again, so I need to be prepared.
Yes, that's why I like to have them, because it's nice to just have it there in case. Just in case. Yeah, so this week I knew we were both reading. I assumed we were both reading Rebel Witch. And so I was on the fence of like, do I only talk about Rebel Witch this week? But I decided I should have at least one standalone book in there for myself. So I did bring in one from my stash.
Yes. So I have 2 other books to talk about with Rebel Witch being the third. The only reason that this is the case because I was only going to just do one book And because the other 2 books that I read this week were the 2 books in that series.
Oh yeah.
The Rivers of London series. And I was like, I don't want to put them in the same week. But the problem is I'm going through them so fast that if I don't talk about 2 of them this week, I will have 3 next week.
Yeah, so you have to do 2. I got it.
And it's just compounding. Or I could just put them to the side, I guess. And
you could do them all in one episode.
Put them all just one episode. Or I could just only talk about one, pull one of my older ones.
Oh, you can.
Just take this series out
forever. Yes, you could.
6 more weeks.
Yes. I do like the idea of putting 2 together today. So,
okay,
but I will allow
I'll
you.
Leave it as is.
Okay, I was going to say you could make a game time decision if you so choose. But I do have last week I remember I told you that I had 2 thrilleries, right? Because I was like, I'm gonna move into fantasy, but I still have these 2 thrilleries that I want to talk about, but I want to talk about them together. So I've kind of been moving them together along. So my plan was to do that next episode because this one was going to be Rebel Witch. But then I'm reading one right now that I will for sure finish tomorrow, and it's being pulled to the front. I have to talk about it next episode. So my 2 thrilleries are getting pushed again. Eventually they will be talked about because I am excited about them. I did enjoy them. I just the one I'm finishing reading right now, I'll tell you, this recording is the first time I ever was like, maybe I don't want to record today because I just want to read.
Wow.
Yes, like I don't, while I was waiting for you to come on, I was reading. Like I could get one more page in.
Oh, man.
Yes.
And I ruined it.
That's okay.
Actually, Bonus Bites ruined
Bonus Bites ruined it. Stupid Breaking Dawn.
We'll blame it on Bella.
That's right. Fuck Bella, man. She made me not read my book.
She's the real reason.
So. Yes. So, but yeah, so that one's going to get pulled in. So I'm very excited about it. But either way, whatever. That's all.
I'm sure it'll be great.
Yes. So, so your week was just chilling? As far as you remember?
I really had to dig deep.
Okay.
I even pulled out my phone calendar because I've been trying to be more better at making sure I put things in my calendar. It came through for me today because I was like, well, I'm just gonna look at the calendar, see what it says I did. And I realized kind of did a lot. I mean, kind of, but I mean, it was mostly just like, Mike was, because of how our weeks end and start, Mike was still at ice camp.
Oh, that's right.
For a couple of days. So I know I got some reading done that way. And we went to another Wings game this week.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Yeah, which I didn't take pictures of because I was like, who wants to see pictures of us at another Wings game?
At the same stadium or
at
arena?
The same arena. Like out eating the same. No, we went
you did? Okay.
Yeah, we went to a place called the Eagle. Have you ever heard of it?
Mm-mm.
It's like I think they're known for their chicken.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a couple in Cincinnati, I think.
Okay.
And then there's a couple in Detroit, and I think there's a couple in Kentucky.
Was it good? Was the chicken good?
I didn't have the chicken.
Nicole.
I had a grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
But these grilled cheese sandwiches are apparently I don't know, they're cooler. I don't know. Anyway,
okay.
I'm failing to remember the word right now. What they are, but they have, in addition to like 3 different types of cheese, they also put apple slices and some like apricot preserves
in it.
Yeah.
It sounds like very fancy and not something I want to eat.
So we've had the Eagle, I think, at a different location.
Okay.
And Ethan my son got that sandwich, and it was really good. I took a bite and it was really, really great. But this location, I got the sandwich and it was not as good.
Oh no.
Something about, like, the other place like thick cut the apples, so like when you took a bite, it's like big crunch and stuff like that. This place they like thin cut them, so they were just kind of like like little limp pieces of apple.
I love picturing the apple like this.
Yeah, for those of you who can't see, it's just limp little pieces of apple. But I don't know.
Okay.
But I know I sent you a bunch of texts, so super excited. I bought Sturgill Simpson tickets this last week.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, me too. Until I like went back in my calendar because I had put a reminder.
Oh yes, to buy the tickets.
Yeah, so I
when
did.
Is the show?
It's in May.
Oh, that's not that far.
Nice. So I looked a couple months ago, and he's in Europe right now, I think.
Okay.
And they were like, no plan for, a US tour at the time. And so I just signed up on the website like, hey, let me know if there's, when you guys do, thinking I would hear in like a year.
Right.
And then like 3 weeks later, they were like, guess what? There's going to be a tour. And so I went and looked, and there's only one in anywhere in Michigan. So there's only one concert. So I was like, well, I guess that's the one.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah. So I signed up for pre-sale, and that's what I had to put into my phone, was getting into the pre-sale line. I have never done that before.
Oh, it
Was,
fun.
yeah. Like while I was in there, I was remembering what you were talking about when you were trying to get into the line. It was just like 2 hour queue.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was the same thing. And then like I got into the app, or I got into the like where I could actually pick. And every time I picked a seat, it was like, that seat's gone. So finally I was just clicking the top button. I was just like, whatever seat, I don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
Probably the 15th try I got a seat. So
oh goodness,
I was able to buy some tickets. But,
all right,
man, that's
a stressful time.
I've never done that before. I've never bought concert tickets that way.
Is it like a really small show or something?
I don't know.
Like, is the arena, like, is he at an arena? Is it at like a little,
it's
like a little house?
I think it's an outdoor amphitheater.
Okay.
So, but I've never been to it.
Okay.
It's not super close to where we are, but yeah. So I've never been there. I don't even know. I don't even know how the whole like parking situation and all the other stuff is going to work. So we'll find out. I'll let you know in May.
I can't wait.
So,
that's fun. Well, I'm happy that you were able to get them, because I do know when you were like telling me, you were texting me, you were like, I don't know what's happening.
That's exactly what I was doing too. I was like, what is going on? How do I get tickets? This is just a joke, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I have been there before. I do know what it feels like. I think that's how it was when I did the Justin Timberlake tickets I did last year. I'm pretty sure it was the same when we bought Kelly Clarkson tickets. Like, this is how it goes with the pre-sales and the trying to beat people to seats and stuff. It's such a stressful situation when you're trying to buy to any event. I always, especially if it's a place that I haven't been to before, because I'm like, does this seat suck? Am I going to be able to see? Is there going to be something in the way? Is like the literal like video monitor going to be right in front of me? Like, it's such a stressful thing.
Yeah. I was trying to be cognizant of stuff like that, but like, so I was like zooming in on like the little to the pavilions, and I would zoom in on like, oh, I want on the aisle, and I'd click it and it would be gone. So finally, like after 3 or 4 tries, like I was saying, I was just like, whatever, best option.
Mm-hmm.
And the ticket prices went from, while just sitting there trying to get one, they had like, I was thinking like $60 tickets, because like I was like, I don't want to spend too much money on these tickets.
Yeah.
By the time I was able to finally reserve to temporarily do that, that temporary freeze, the tickets were up to like $180.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, well, a bit more than I wanted to spend.
Happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy
right. All
happy
of the
everything.
happies.
Yes, exactly. Oh, what fun for you. Well, how exciting. Yeah, I don't have anything to share with you other than I was sick.
I know. Yeah, it was really lonely.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I was
knew
not
you were
on
sick.
my phone.
Yeah. And so on top of that, you were like, I'm so tired, and I didn't want to text you and have you be like, I guess I could talk.
Yeah.
No. Sleep.
Yes, I was I was napping a lot. So there were times where I would see that you texted and I was like, okay, I can respond, and then I'd be like, I can't think anymore. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I've basically left you for 2 weeks.
I know, it was terrible.
I apologize. Okay, thank you. Can I tell you though? I'm going to jump into snacks.
Oh, I was actually just about to ask you, since you were sick, were you able to even get a snack?
So let me tell you a story. So on Wednesday, I felt like shit, and I had okay, my ovaries were trying to murder me.
Oh yeah.
On Wednesday, and I was very upset about everything in life because my hormones hated me, and because Nicole is a beautiful person.
Oh yeah.
She sent me crumble cookies. I had a doctor's appointment after work, and so I was at work all angry about everything in life, and then I had to go to the stupid doctor, and that was fucking terrible. And then I got home to a crumble box on my counter that said from Nicole, and I was like, yes. And so by this point, Wednesday after my appointment, I was just on the verge of I think I even texted you and was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to wake up sick tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I was on the verge. So I ate one entire whole cookie because I was like, I want to enjoy this before I'm sick. So that's going to, and the one I chose was the crumble tres leches. So I ate that whole one on Wednesday, and then when I woke up sick on Thursday, I did still eat some, but they just didn't taste the same, because your taste buds change when you're sick and all that. Mm-hmm. So I was able to fully enjoy the tres leches crumble cookie or cake or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And it was delightful. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to use that this week, but the other flavors were still good. They just weren't as good as they could have been had I not been sick.
Right. So you say that.
Yeah.
And I think so after I sent you those cookies, I was like, well, don't I deserve cookies?
Yeah, you're like, I want them too.
So I also went and got some cookies, and I also got the tres leches.
Did you like it?
I think it's better than mine.
Oh no. I did not. I know I specifically told Tim it was not better than yours, but it was very close.
Yeah. So I think
it was really good.
It was so good.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing, whether it's authentic or not, is I put strawberries on mine.
Yeah, I think that would have pushed it.
If they had put strawberry in the jam or preservative or something on preserves, not preservative, preserves.
Yes.
If they would have put that on it, I think it probably would have beat mine out. But I think as I was eating it, I took the first bite and I was like, oh fuck.
Yes.
I think this is better than mine.
It was really good.
And I ate another bite and I was like, yeah, something, this is pretty close. And so I went into the fridge and I didn't have strawberry, but I had raspberry preserves. So I just put that on, put a little bit of dollop, and I ate it and I was like, yep.
It was delicious. Oh no.
That's basically my tres leches. Yes. So I think we're going to have to do samesies this week. Because
yes, I agree.
I feel like I have to use that if I'm saying
that is better than yours.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to fight somebody at Crumble.
They stole your recipe.
No, I'm clearly.
Yeah, that one was really good. They were all good, but yeah, I was unfortunately it just couldn't enjoy them as much. But yeah, that was the one. I was like, before this sickness comes on that I know is coming, I am going to enjoy this whole thing.
Right. Yeah. As I was like putting it into my phone, because I had a DoorDash delivered, right? Yeah. So like as I was putting it into my phone, I was like, I can't just have a box of cookies show up in here. That's why I asked you. I was like, is Tim home today? And you were like, yeah, he's home. And I was like, yes, I cannot have a box of cookies show up. Like,
with no warning.
Like, no parental oversight. So I even messaged Tim on the side and I was like, I'm having cookies delivered. Please do not eat. And he was like,
yeah. It was funny. As soon as I got home, I was in the kitchen. I heard him in a meeting, and then within I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes of me being home, he got off the meeting, and he just walked into the kitchen and he looked at me and he was like, "Did you see it? Did you see it?" And I was like, "Yes, I saw it." And he was like, I had to give an oath to Nicole that I would not eat them. And he didn't even open it because he was like, you will be able to see it had a little sticker on it. And he was like, I knew you'd be able to tell. So he was like, I didn't even open them. So as soon as he walked in the kitchen, he's like, did you open it? Can you open it? What are they? What are they?
Which ones are they?
Yeah. So I did end up sharing with him, but he only ate what I said he could eat. He did not eat any more than that. He was like, I'm afraid of the wrath of Nicole.
Yes.
So yes, you put the fear in him and he did not touch them.
Maybe I'll get him a cookie for his birthday. I'll have one delivered just for him.
He will enjoy that.
It'll be his post-race also birthday cookie.
Yes. Agreed. Great. He can't wait already. I can tell. Okay. Are we ready for books or are we Okay.
Okay.
You tell me things, but don't tell me Rebel Witch yet.
Okay. Well, I'll do my 2 Rivers of London book.
Okay.
All right. So I'll try to go through them quick. I didn't put a huge amount of detail. Okay. So, but the 4th book in the Rivers of London series is called Broken Homes. Okay. Still by Ben Aaronovitch.
You're only on 4? Why do I feel like you've talked about so many of them?
I'm past 4 now, but I'm only speaking. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I feel like, because it's been this is the 4th week I've talked about these books. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was like, I feel like I have to start combining them just so we just don't continue for months. 4 months of the same book series.
Welcome to 2026.
Right. So, for those of you who haven't heard, if there's any new listeners, this is a police procedural, paranormal fantasy. I listen to it. I refuse to read it.
Okay. Because the narrator is so good.
I love the narrator. He is so good. I love his voice, and he does such a great job.
Good.
So, all right. So, 4th book, Peter, Grant, and all the others in the Folly have their hands full with some new cases. So they're still on the lookout for the faceless man. And they're also trying to learn more magic and, just stuff like that. So the caseload includes a possible serial killer.
Okay.
A stolen grimoire. And a man who walks in front of a tube train and is killed, which may or may not be a suicide. So
it sounds like it's not.
So this puts Peter and Leslie on a stakeout. They end up going through all these things. They end up on a stakeout in a housing estate. And this is where they're trying to piece together how all of these relate to each other, and how do all of these relate to the faceless man.
Okay.
So, triggers.
Okay.
There is much murder.
Much murder.
Much murder. And like I mentioned earlier, there is what they think to be a suicide. All right, so my thoughts on this one. Man, I know I said it a minute ago, but there is not enough that can be said about how great the narrator is.
Really? Even better in this one?
He makes this series.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's the reason. I think he is probably at least 25% of the reason of why this series is so great is because of how great of a job he does. So, they have their whole caseload and, they're working that. And I just want to emphasize, if you're thinking about reading these books or listening to these books, I emphasize that this is police procedural. It's very day-to-day. They're like, it's not just, interviewing suspects and getting in to confess that first time, running, getting out and, they arrest the bad guys in the first go. It's really day-to-day. It's like, he's like, well, I'm going to go sit in front of a computer and watch, CCTV video for
So it's like finding evidence
hours.
And investigating the evidence and like all the okay.
Yeah. So that means like not everything has clear answers. Not everything is maybe answered to like what you want it to be answered to. Like, why did he do this? I don't know. He's dead.
Okay.
He can't tell me, right? So and then also the main villain of this series. I think this is the third book that he's in. So he's just not easily caught or captured, right? It's not, like I said, they're not putting things together. Every book, it seems like they get one or two more clues that get them closer to the villain, but the rest is just, other stuff that they're dealing with at the same time.
All right.
So, I thought this book was great. The cast is great. It has good new characters. There's like a Russian night witch. Ooh. I really enjoyed her part in. You get to see,
what does a night witch mean?
So, there's a little bit of history in this that I haven't been like really speaking of, and so I guess spoilers for people who don't want to hear any of this. I'll tell you right now, though. In the book, Nightingale is like 100. He's found like his life is extended, so he's more than like 40, 50 years old. I think he's like over 100 at this point. Okay. So they talk about him being in World War II a lot and how the Germans also had a magic program, and the Russians also had a magic program. And I don't know if you've ever heard of, I think it was actually in Russian history. I'd have to go back and do some more research to give a definitive answer here, but the Russians had like an all-woman part of the army or the Air Force that they called the Night Witches, I think.
Oh, okay.
And so it's kind of a spin-off of
play
that.
On that, yeah.
Right, where they were actually witches who were doing, stuff during the war.
Okay.
So magic stuff.
Fun.
Okay. Yes. So everybody could come back now.
Yeah.
So some other things that were great about this book is, there's a good twist at the end. The battle scene, if you want to call it the battle scene between Peter and an unknown individual who I won't tell you who it is, is pretty good. Very twisty, and it was good. It was also kind of like oh no. But my favorite part, because I love Nightingale, is you get to see him show off a bit in this book.
So does he have like magic and stuff?
Yes. And he is, so in the first 3 books, they kind of make reference to how how good of a magician he is and how strong his magic is. And in this part of, this book, you get to see like a little glimpse of it. And I was like, I read the whole thing and I was like, no, I have to go back and reread that. So I read that section twice.
That's awesome.
Because I was like, this is a good one. So that was that book.
Okay.
I really liked it. I gave that one 4.5.
Nice.
And I haven't decided if I'm going to give it a 5 yet.
Okay. Do you want to see if maybe you want to like finish the series and see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I might. This one is 4.5, but like I said, I haven't decided whether I want to go up to 5 or down to 4 for when I do my end of year roundup.
Okay.
Okay, the 5th book.
Yes.
In the Rivers of London series.
Yes.
It's called Foxglove Summer.
Okay.
It is so this one it picks up pretty much where the 4th book, almost directly where it left off, not like, but maybe within a few days. So like I said, at the end of that book there was a pretty big heartfelt twist. And so Peter Grant and everybody in the Folly are still dealing with the aftershocks of that. And to kind of make things easier on Peter, Nightingale decides to send him into Herefordshire.
Okay.
And just the name of a town or village.
I feel like all of those names, all of the like English towns are always so difficult to say.
And I know I don't have the correct accent to to do it proud either. So I apologize if I butchered your village name.
We're trying.
Send me a message with a video with a sound clip of you saying it correctly, and I will play the sound clip, or I will try to figure it out myself. But so he goes to this village, and he's sent there to assist the local police in a case where there are two young girls, like they're early preteens, who have gone missing, both on the same night. So while he's there, he's helping doing the investigations. He's just there as like a regular like police force presence, just helping out. But things start to appear uncanny, and like maybe he should be there because there could be some magic elements to it. So Nightingale sends in a woman to help him. Her name is Beverly Brooke. She plays a pretty big role in another one of the first books, the first book specifically, I think. But she is there to help keep Peter out of trouble, or basically help him with magic. Now, like I said, I haven't talked about Beverly before. She was, like I said, kind of a minor character in the other books, but in this one she plays more. She comes out more as a major role. And one of her main things is she is a very powerful river goddess.
Oh,
so
I love that.
Yes. So she's there to help him because he is not. I mean, he's still an apprentice wizard, so he's not. So they're kind of just trying to be careful about just them running around unprotected. So who better to keep you safe than a river goddess?
Goddess, right? Exactly.
Right. So, but Beverly is there to help. But she is also probably a different type of trouble. So, I'm foreshadowing a little bit.
Okay.
So, but I will say I love Beverly. She's adorable. Anyway, the triggers in this book, there's obviously kidnapping of the girls, and there is references to rape, but there is no rape. So, yes. So, like I said, Beverly is adorable. I love her. She's so cute. I'm glad she has more of a role in this book. That being said, because it's away from London and the repercussions in book 4, there is like maybe four pages that Nightingale is in. So it broke my heart a little.
Oh no.
I was very sad.
I hope you get like a big, like you get really cool stuff with him in some of the later books, like a full on, like show me everything you've got. Like, yeah.
Yes, me too. I hope so too.
Yeah.
But so let me sidetrack for a minute. When I was listening to this book, I just went ahead and bought like 5 extra credits or something because I was like, I'm just gonna buy all the books now, right? So that way, 'cause I know I'm gonna read them all or listen to them all. Well, I made the mistake of reading number 6, the book 6 description on Audible, and it says Peter Grant, England's last wizard.
Oh no.
And I spent all of book 5 like, oh no, is Nightingale gonna die in this book? Am I about to have to quit this book series?
We're finally gonna get a crying Nicole book?
I have a feeling that if it comes to that, and I don't put it I don't put it outside the realm of possible.
You're right.
If Nightingale dies, I probably will cry. Oh. This might be it, guys.
I don't want this for you, but also a crying Nicole.
No, I spent the whole book wondering and dreading, when does Nightingale show up? Or is he I got to like the last like quarter of the book and he was still kind of, like I said, he only had like three pages, and I was like, man, I swear to God, if we find out that he died while Peter was out in the country and I don't get to find out how or why, I will call Ben Aaronovitch myself and I will email him and I'll be like, how could you?
So, yes, I feel like he's a big enough character that
he deserves more than that.
Yes, like if he does die, you will get like the whole kit and caboodle.
He will go out in glory.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't want it to happen.
No, I don't want him to die either.
Now that I've read that and it got put into my brain that it was even a possibility, because before that it wasn't even in my head as a possible thing that could happen. Like if it would have happened, that would have been like a full surprise gotcha moment for me, because I would have been like,
so have you even started 6 yet? Oh no.
Okay. But because I finished 5.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I have finished. I have started 6.
Okay.
I finished 6? Oh yeah, I finished 6. Okay. Where am I? So I know that that's not true, because I went into I had to know when I got to I went into Goodreads and I looked at what the description in there said, and it was for number 7, and it was like, oh, everybody in the Folly, Nightingale, and blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, whew,
great.
Whew. Oh
no! So, I'm so nervous for you.
I know. I got to like the last 70 pages, and that's when I went to look, because I was like, there's no way that they're gonna bring Nightingale in the last 70 pages and have him get murdered.
Right.
Like, that's just not gonna happen. So
oh gosh.
So he lives through this book, guys. It's all okay.
Okay, good.
But yeah, so I guess the biggest takeaway with this book I have is it was still a great story. Because like I said, I still like the characters. I like Beverly, and we meet a few more characters that are cute, and everybody is pretty well developed, has a good personality. But this book was definitely a recovery book, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Broken homes took you up to like a height, and then if you can't just start there and continue to run with it, right? Like they had to come down and they have to reset the playing field. So that's what this book was. Okay. I normally don't like that in a but there was a couple spots where it twists and piques your interests. just to keep you going through the whole thing. But this wasn't my favorite of the books. I'm still gonna give it a 4, but it's not my favorite out of.
Also, I feel like if he knew that it was going to be a 10-book series, it makes sense that this as book 5 would kind of be like a reset, like a let's give you another jumping point for the rest of the story and like all that kind of stuff. It can't, like you said, it literally, you can't start at the top of the mountain and then
just
have
continue for 5
and have
books.
5 more books. Right, exactly. So I definitely feel it makes sense, especially if he knew how long the series was going to be. So
right. Yeah.
We'll allow it.
Yes. So okay. So those are my two other books that I have. And I am ready to speak of Rebel Witch if you
Okay. I am ready.
All right. So our shared book this week.
Yes. I'm very excited because this is our first non-bonus bite. So,
I know. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, this is going to be weird, guys. So, we so
go with
Rebel
us.
Witch. Yeah. Kristen Ciccarelli. Is that how we say her name?
I think so.
So I read this as a physical.
I did on Kindle.
Okay. And this is of the genre fantasy. Okay. So, this is number 2 in the Crimson Moth duology. And I'm going to give just up front, the description is pretty spoiler free that I'm about to give, but once we get into our thoughts, we've decided to do all spoilers if we choose to do so.
Yeah, because I feel like it's the fact that we both read it and we both can talk about it. We can give our review if we want, just kind of mildly, but I got spoilies, so
yeah. Okay, so yes.
Okay.
We're doing spoilers. I'll make sure.
No, I'll make sure I put it in the description with the timestamp showing when the spoilers will start.
Okay. So if you guys read book 1, you know that at the end of that book, Crescinda has now come back, and she is planning her comeback to be the new queen.
You call her Crescinda?
Is that not what we're supposed to call her?
She doesn't have an N in her name.
She doesn't?
No. I think it's Cressida.
Where's my book?
Hold on. I can look it up on my phone real fast because I have it on the Kindle.
Have I been calling her the wrong in my brain?
Hold on. I got it open. I'm going to do a search.
I hope my brain just added an A or an N.
Yeah, Cressida.
Oh my gosh, I even wrote it with an N. Oh my gosh, guys. So this is a perfect example of whatever is in my brain. My brain added an N.
Yeah, it's fine. And I was going to let it go, but then I was like, I feel like you clearly said an N.
All right. So how do I pronounce her name?
I don't know. I said Cressida.
Cressida?
That's what I called her.
Cressida, the witch, is planning her comeback.
That's right.
So she's going to come back with an N in her name.
Great.
But yeah, so she is trying to come back and reinstate herself as queen, right? So her and Rune and a whole bunch of other witches in the last book have made their escape from the island. They went to another country, which I can't remember that country's name, not that it's important, but the king there has agreed that he will help them put Cressida back in power. But to do that, they need Rune's help. So okay, so this is where Gideon finds her, and he has one last chance to capture the Crimson Moth, or he will be, I think, hanged as a traitor. Some kind of punishment for being a traitor. So, but not all plans are the best plans, and after both Rune and Gideon face some hard truths, they have to, they end up forming a very tender alliance, with both of them planning to betray the other. And, but all this time together causes them to question their loyalties and how there is always a third option to get what they want. Unfortunately, it's also the hardest option.
Dun, dun, dun.
So maybe that was kind of spoilery. I don't know.
I'll just put a note in. I'll just put it in there saying all spoilers.
Spoiler.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we start, I think I put some triggers in there of obviously torture.
Yeah.
Is spoken of frequently. There is murder and death and rape. And that's all I wrote down. That's all I could remember.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what did you think? Overall, first, before we do regular thoughts, what did you think overall of the book?
I did not like it.
I wondered.
I will tell you all the reasons why when we get to it, but I'm very sad because if any of you have been around, if you listen to our end of year episode, Heartless Hunter was my number 1 book of 2024. And I'm very sad. Yeah, I like it wasn't the worst, but it's definitely not. I didn't love it. I was mostly bored.
Yeah, so this book I felt was a very middle of the road book. And when I finished it, it took all of my willpower to not text you right away and be like,
what was this?
What the what?
What the what is right?
So yeah.
So you felt the same. It was just
same.
Like okay.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I never got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna DNF this book.
Right? No. I never got there either. Yeah.
Like the whole time I was reading it, I was like, okay, yep. But there was nothing in this book that like surprised me. There were no twists that I wasn't like, oh, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I was gonna, even the twists that we did have were like super predictable. Yeah. Okay, we're going full. We're just gonna jump in. Everybody, are you ready? There's full spoilers. Okay, full spoilers. All right. First of all, the miscommunication trope was like on max level, max fucking level, and I was so done. So I wrote down, I made a note at 24%, so whatever page that was in, but in the Kindle, I was at 24%, and I wrote, this is just one big miscommunication trope, and I'm over it. Like, a quarter of the book, and I'm, what the fuck is happening? Also, I'm going to tell you, at 4%, I wrote, I'm already annoyed with Gideon's line of thought where he was like, she's out of my league. He's not good and I'm not good enough. Blah, 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 blah. She never loved me. He never loved me. They were using me. Like all of those lines of thought for both of them at 4%. I was already fucking done. And it just continues for like 50% of the book.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't actually come out of that until, like you were saying, a little over halfway of the book, and then Gideon all of a sudden like flips a switch and he's like, you know what, I can accept this. And and then I think at that point, once he like flips that switch and he's like, then I actually kind of start to like him.
Yeah, I end up really enjoying Gideon. Like, I do like him, but listening to them complain for however long, like 50 whatever percent of the book about how, so one of the things, another thing I wrote down, so even at 34% is when she literally tells him, I would have married you if you had just asked me. It still takes like 6 more chapters before they trust each other. Like during all of that time, from 35% where she's like, I would have married you, to like 50%, they're still like, we're going to work together, but I'm going to betray them. It was, what?
Yes. Yeah. And then like the throwing in there of, on the boat with the guy, the
spy or whatever.
The spy, like then there's the jealousy aspect with, because then that other girl, like Gideon's old girlfriend or whatever, is like on that boat, happens to be on that boat too, so it's just like, in addition to like the miscommunication, there's also like jealousy thrown in, and and then
but then it's always followed up with like, but I don't care who they touch. It's like, oh, I can't believe he's talking to her, but I don't care if he touches her. It's always like this, like they're trying to talk themselves into it, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I was gonna wait to bring up this part, but I'm just gonna talk about it. So ultimately I like Gideon and Rune, right? I liked him. Like we said, I ended up on board. They sleep together in the first book.
Yes.
And then the whole Rebel Witch is still enemies to lovers. Like, we're still in this like weird slow burn shit. You can't be slow burn enemies to lovers when you've already fucked in the first book. That's not how this goes. You can't give me 60% of book 2 of being mad at each other. I understand that he's still a witch hunter. I understand that the way the first book ended was in this place of like conflict, right? I get it. Okay, so give me 10% of that in book 2. And then them like circle back and be like, we've already slept together and we liked each other then. We actually care about each other. Don't give me 60% of a book.
Yes. Have a conversation like an adult.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing, was that it felt just like a book 1 slow burn when it's not.
Yeah. I'm not 100% like fleshed out on this next thing that I'm going to say.
Okay.
As I was reading it to myself, I was like, man, the first, let's call it 50% of the book, I know that's not, is Rune is the one who has feelings for Gideon, and she's like having, and he's like, I don't want that, right? Don't want to be. And then like as soon as he gets to the point where he's like, you know what, I've decided that I'm gonna do whatever I can to help you, she does that flip-flop, and now she's the one that's like, I'm gonna run away, I'm gonna do all these things. And I was like,
we have
why?
Like that. I called it like a mild third act breakup when she like decides to leave. But it's like what you're saying, like he finally says, like, proves that he's gonna be there for her and like all that kind of stuff. They don't even decide that they're gonna fully be together, and then she's like, I can't do this, and then she like does the mild third act breakup where she goes to like pretend to leave or whatever and comes back and saves him. But yeah, why the flip-flop? I can't deal with that. It really felt like a YA book trying to be not YA, I think. I mean, it's clearly not fully YA because of the like language and the sex and like all that kind of stuff. But that's what it feels like. It's so much. Okay, I have a question for you. Moving away from Gideon and Rune, unless you want to talk more about that bullshit.
Not
yet. Okay.
Stuff.
So when did we learn about the ancients? Because I don't remember it at all from Heartless Hunter. I feel like, so I don't remember them. I feel like the second that Antonio brought up that story, I was like, well, I know who it is. I know who Wisdom is. And I feel like the only reason that Antonio was in this book was to bring that story up and then for us to meet her at the end.
Yes.
But it was like, as soon as she started talking about, or he started telling about the ancients, I was like, who the fuck are the ancients and why don't we know anything about them? And then as soon as he was like, history says or whatever that Wisdom did blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, Wisdom is Seraphine. Done.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
Yep. Yeah, I think there was like two spots where they hinted at it. Like one was when Rune asks her, I can't remember where it is in the beginning. She's like, how do you look the same as when I was younger? And then, she's like, oh, she's like, are you immortal? And she's like, something like that,
Yeah.
And then,
I think she mentions like she has a picture of her when she was young and stuff. She looks exactly the same. Yeah.
And then the second time is when they're with Antonio and they bring up the ancients and they talk about how they had a moment where they like looked at each other and there was an understanding. And I was like,
yeah,
subtle.
Yeah.
Super subtle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as soon as that was brought up and then the whole thing with like, oh, who is the sister that nobody knows about? And I was like,
immediately I was like, it's Rune. Immediately. Like, no question.
There's nobody else. And then on top of that, when Rune wakes up in that circle after doing the summoning spell, and she's like, oh, well, I guess it didn't work.
Why did you not? I don't understand. How do you think you just ended up there?
She didn't even like give it like a sec. She didn't even like, oh, I must have sleepwalked or whatever, sleepwalking or something. No, she was just like, well, that's weird. I ended up out here.
Yeah.
Like, did you not read the spell?
Exactly.
You're just doing spells willy-nilly, Rune? Like, come on.
That was, yeah.
I mean,
so disappointed.
Yeah, so there was that, and then, but I will say, actually, I don't even know if I can say that, really. Because I was gonna, so because it's hinted at so much throughout the whole book and, like, what it is, I was happy to get to the end and not have there be any, like, surprise, we can do this magical ability. But like you said, there was like a little bit of it where they're introducing new characters and like, like stuff like that, which I get. Yeah. But at the very end, I'm glad there wasn't like, surprise, magic apple, this will save Rune.
Right. I do feel like going into that, it was very predictable that Rune was going to be the one who died and then brought back, because we've already knew that was a magical possibility, right? She just had to make a sacrifice and she could bring the sisters back. I knew what they were going to do was kill Cressida to bring Rune back. Immediately as they went out there, I was like, yes. But you're right. I do like that it was already established that magic could happen.
Right.
It wasn't like a
Seraphine shows up and she's like, I am wisdom and I can fix this.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't. So
right, yeah, exactly.
And I also recognize that when you're only doing a duology, it's probably hard to fit all of that in there, or make it less obvious because you don't have as much time to work with.
That's fair.
So I recognize all of that, but. Yeah, it was just...
I do wish, though, because the ancients are something that clearly was, like, a big part of her life because she grew up with her and, like, all that. I do wish that we would have got some mention of them in book 1. Like, some sort of, like, just the fact that history is there.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear from, from Kristen. I'd be interested if she had the second book already planned out. Because when I see stuff like that, my assumption is you didn't have the second book planned out. You've released the first one. You're like, all right, I'll write the second one.
Right.
I'll come to that bridge when I get there. So
yeah, and the fact that we got it so late. I think when did Antonio bring that up? We were at like 70% of the book.
Yeah.
So it was like so late, and I just I don't know. I was a little sad to hear that she has casting marks on her now. I thought it was really cool that like she was this witch that like nobody would ever be able to tell. I mean, I do like now that she can like live in the open and show her casting marks and stuff, but I liked that like she was never going to get caught because of that. And then in this one, she was like, I have all these moths going up my leg.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one more thing to say.
Okay.
And it's about Gideon.
Okay, tell me.
Good Lord. How many times does Gideon get to fuck up in this book? And they just keep giving him free passes.
Yes. I agree. Everyone's like, you can't betray us again or we'll kill you. And then they're like, oh, you get one more chance.
Yeah. And then somebody's like, I'll help you escape.
Yeah.
And then like 5 chapters later, it happens again. And he's like, but one more thing. It's but this thing. And
but
like,
I could do this.
You know what? We'll believe you this one more time. I was like, when does this guy when did they finally like torture him,
kill him? Right. Exactly.
Like, when does this happen? So
yeah, he did get very lucky a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, sadly it was not what I wanted. I think I ultimately gave it a 3 because it wasn't terrible, but I can't go higher than just straight middle.
Yeah, I also recognize that I probably put a little too much of my hope into this book. I think
maybe.
And I was hoping for something just like nuts.
Yeah.
And I really should have gone back before I read this book and listened to what I said about book 1, where I was well, in my notes.
Oh, in your notes.
Sorry, I apologize. Read what I said in my notes about this book. Like, what did I think about this book? And I remember when I took my notes about book 1, I was just kind of like, I don't want to say middle of the road because I did really like it, but I do remember there being some inconsistencies and like stuff like that, and but yeah, I wish I would have gone back and read my notes from the first one before I read this one. Maybe it would have level set me, because I feel like I maybe did a disservice by going in like, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, I was like,
I do really think I would have enjoyed this book so much more. I mean, obviously the miscommunication trope was annoying, and their just like constant betrayal of each other, even though they loved each other, was annoying. So I really think that if we would have just got like 10% of the book of them being at odds and then them working together the entire rest of the book, I think I would have loved it. Like, I really, really think I would have enjoyed it. It was too much of them being like, I love you, but I betray you. I love you, but I betray you. Like,
yeah, I felt like they tried to make most of the drama come from the love aspect, the romance aspect, instead of like the plot aspect.
Agreed. 100%. Well, that was unfortunate. However, I do like when we read the same book.
I know, that worked out pretty good.
That was great. I'm sure we'll find some more in the future. All right. That's all I have to say about Rebel Witch.
Me too.
Okay. So I will give you a short little whatever of mine. I read I listened to. The Seventh Victim by Mary Burton. It was a sister book club on Audible. It is book 1 of 3 in the Texas Rangers series. However, each book is technically like a standalone book, but from what I can understand in like things that I've read is that the previous characters do make appearances, but they're like very like small roles, like not whatever. So I probably won't read books 2 and 3 because I really like these characters and I don't really want to keep going if I don't have them. Okay. All right. So 7 years ago, the Seattle Strangler was terrorizing the city. I guess let me give you some triggers before this.
Okay.
Murder, serial killers, rape, all things that come with like murdery plots. So keep that in mind. Okay. So Seattle Strangler, terrorizing everybody. All of the victims were young, pretty blonde women that were found in home-sewn white dresses. So whenever at the crime scenes and stuff, they were found changed into these home-sewn white dresses. All of them were strangled to death. So his last victim, before he went into hiding, actually survived. Her name is Laura Church, and she was able to get away because someone happened upon them before he was able to kill her. So he had raped her and strangled her, and in that process, somebody showed up, like drove up or whatever it was, and he ran away. And so she was able to survive. However, she was so close to death during her attack that she has no real memories. Like, she never really saw his face. So she doesn't have any way to help identify the attacker, and no way to like help like catch him. So basically she spent the last 7 years like moving around trying to like stay hidden because she doesn't know where he's at. So try to stay hidden, make sure she stays away from like the media and stuff, and really like never told anybody around her who she was or what her past was. So she now lives in Austin, Texas. She has a job as a photography teacher at the local school and a photographer of landscapes. One day, Texas Ranger James Beck shows up at her doorstep with news that they believe that the Strangler has returned and that he is now in Austin. They have a couple of dead girls that are fitting the previous MO. And so they're basically like found her and wanted to go tell her like, he's in the area. We believe he's in the area. You need to stay safe. So the whole book kind of follows Laura as she investigates or as she navigates her, like her fear of being followed, being hunted, like, as girls keep being attacked, like she's trying to figure out how to go through life and if she wants to keep running and stuff like that.
Right.
And then it also follows James Beck, who is the Texas Ranger, as he investigates and tries to keep Laura safe. So you kind of get both sides of the story, of her trying to like navigate life and him trying to figure out who the Strangler is. So overall, I really enjoyed it. It is different points of view. So for the most part, you get chapters of Laura, you get chapters of Beck, and then you do get a sprinkling of some other characters. So you get like 2 or 3 chapters from an unknown person who is the killer. And you get,
I was going to ask that.
Yes. So at the time, you do at the end find out who it is, but you do at the time when you're reading the chapter, you don't know who the killer is. So you get his point of view on like what it's like for him to kill and what it's like for like what he's doing and like all that kind of stuff. So that's crazy. You do get some chapters of a Seattle cop who was involved in the original investigation who wants to come out and try to help. And then one of Laura's students. So while I did enjoy it, it is pretty predictable. However, it didn't take away any of my enjoyment of the book. So I will tell you, both my sister and I guessed who the killer was at the same point.
Wow.
And it was in chapter 7. So we did guess very early on, but I still feel like it wasn't so clear that it ruined anything, but it was still, I mean, we still figured it out, right? So as like, yeah. However, there were, I think what helped with still keeping it interesting and all that is that there's a couple other twists that happened that I didn't necessarily see coming. So that was good. There's also a romance aspect to this. So it's like
that, yeah.
Yes, so it's like a mystery romance. And I really liked that. I thought the romance part of it was really cute. I would have been very angry if these two people did not end up together. So I did really, really like that. So overall, book was good. I rate it 4 tres leches, crumble tres leches.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I did rate it 4. I will say though, for anyone who is going to listen to it, I did not love the narrator.
Okay.
So it's a woman who narrates it. I will say, so the book starts off in Beck's point of view, and I didn't go in knowing that it was going to be like a dual point of view. So the first like 3 chapters or so, 3 or 4 chapters are all from Beck's point of view. And I was like, why do we have a woman narrator for a male POV book? Like it just didn't make sense. And then we switched over to Laura and I was like, oh, okay, things make sense now. But she wasn't great at male voices. You know how sometimes you can get a female narrator and you're just like, damn, that sounds like a dude when they do it. She was not that. And all of her male voices sounded the same. It was some of it was confusing. Yeah. So I will say it didn't, I don't think it took away from the book in any way. I don't think it ruined anything for me. But I will just say like it was a point of the book that I was like, the narrator could have been better. Mm-hmm. But I still rated it a 4. I still enjoyed it. Nice. And yeah, I'm happy. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
How do you set your TBR? Are you a mood reader or do you just set your list or what do you do?
I have to say, anybody who doesn't read by mood is a psycho.
Okay, great. Nicole's stance. Done.
In the nicest possible way.
Right, of course.
So yeah, I mean, I'm 1000% a mood reader. I don't know any other way that you could read a TBR. I mean, I can think of ideas how, but I don't like them.
I have really tried. Like, I will read a description and be like, oh my gosh, I have to read this book like next or soon or whatever. And then I'll read another description and I'm like, oh, I have to read this one. And then when I finish a book and I go to read my next book, I read that description and I'm like, I don't want to read that right now. Mm-hmm. So like while I'm in the middle of reading a different book, that book sounded perfect. But now it's like, so I feel like I have to do mood. I really want to be a person who just like sets a list and does it. And I just can't do it.
No. Yeah, exactly like you said. I have no problem DNFing a book. So I feel like I would not be doing service to a book if I just said, all right, I am reading you. And what if I get into that book and I don't like it?
Right. And what if you don't like it because you're not
in the mood?
Exactly.
Now am I giving what could be a really good read a bad read because I'm just not reading it at the right time?
Right. That's fair. Yep. I think, I definitely do. I just want to be a person, though, that doesn't do it like that.
Yeah, I'm also afraid that if I do it and I don't like it, I'll try not to DNF it. And so I'll just end up sitting there like reading it really slow. Because
you're going to be like Kim, where you're just like 12 books finished this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the book that I'm going to talk about next week, I started it because I was like, I have to read it to get it off of my Kindle.
Okay.
Because it's one of my
the Kindle Unlimited.
And I almost DNF'd it. And I've gotten into it now, and I'm happy I didn't DNF it. But I was almost there.
Oh, no. and it's because really... you made yourself read this one? Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, I would like to know if there are people out there who just set a TBR and follow the TBR, because I want to know, how do you deal with getting into a book that you're just like you're not there for?
Yeah, it's too much pressure.
It is a lot of pressure. This is why it hasn't worked for me.
I know, I can only read so many books in my life, and I want to enjoy them all.
Yes, exactly. I want to tell you, I tried this last year. I think I still have it in my notes app. It's ridiculous, because I was like, I'm going to set a full TBR, and I don't know if I have it in here anymore. Dang it. I was like, I'm going to set a full TBR, and then I'm pretty sure I filled, it was in like June of last year or something, and I filled out my to be read for like June, July, August, September. And there was probably a total of like 20 books on this list.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure to this day, I've read like one of them on that list. It was like the second I wrote it down to be like a for sure TBR, my brain was like, no, you're not reading that shit.
Well, even the books at the end of the year that we said, what do we have planned to read next year? I think I've only read one.
Right. I know. We said
books I have to read.
Yes. And I haven't even thought about it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think my brain goes against me when I add it to a TBR. I immediately am like, you're not my mom. You can't tell me what to read.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
That's right. So yes, please tell us how you get through it if you set a TBR and read that TBR and you get to a book that you're just not into. Tell us your thoughts. Please email us.
Teach us the way.
Yes. Send us something. Put a comment somewhere in the video or the episode. SavorTheStoryPod.com. Go to our website. On the website, you can see all the things about all the episodes. You can send us a message. You can find our favorites on there. You can get so much information there from us. Also, on all of the listening and watching platforms, give us 5 stars. Give us thumbs ups. Give us comments. Give us everything.
Yes.
Please.
I want to know your thoughts.
All of them. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Get out of here.